There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to J1Q. Thank you all for coming back to another episode of that podcast that is simply dedicated to bringing you educational resources for information, inspiration, and guidance. I appreciate you all for being here. I'm so extremely happy to have you back. In today's episode, you're going to absolutely love it because we're bringing to you someone who's going to talk to you about something I think we're all interested in money, right? We're going to learn some different ways to do money better, to make more money, and to rewrite your money story and get you on a path to wealth and abundance. And later on, there's going to be a point where we're going to learn about how you can get a free copy of the Sisternomics Money Manifesto. It almost sounds like one of the most 80s singing group, right? Like Supersonic, right? Sisternomics. So we're going to get you also some practical ways to start building wealth with the Sisternomics strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's bring on our guest, Monique Caradine Kitchens. Yes, give her a big round of applause.
Thank
How are
you.
you
Thank you.
today? I appreciate you for taking a little bit of time out your busy schedule to come on and try to help educate and try to show some different ways for money. How about you take a few seconds here just to give the viewers and the audience members a little bit more information about who you are?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on J1Q. That's such a dope name. I love it. It's a pleasure to be here with you and your audience. And, I am first and foremost a woman of faith. I'm a wife and a mom. And in addition to all that, I have worked in my passion for over 20 years. My background is in television and radio broadcasting. And I learned early on as a radio talk show host that one of my purposes for being on this planet is to inspire and empower people with information, strategies, wisdom to help their lives be better. So, fast forward to today, I am a certified professional coach. I love working with women entrepreneurs, and my passion is helping them to elevate their money situation, to elevate their money story so that they can unleash overflow in every area of their lives. That is what I was born to do. And, I'm excited every day when I wake up and I get to do this work. So, thank you for allowing me to come on and talk about it.
I love it. Thank you because for me, I kind of feel similar that once we find out a passion that we want, we say, "Oh my goodness, this is what I'm supposed to do." Hey, let's bring anyone and everyone to help spread that. And I've learned that people may not always want to hear information directly from my voice, or I may not be able to provide it. So I don't want to believe in that crab in a bucket kind of mentality, right? So why not bring someone on who has the knowledge, who's been through that journey? Because I don't care if there's a million people listening. If what you say can help one person, then that's worth it to me. And I love, there was something I saw when I was reading your book and I was reading a couple of things. You said, I show women how the brilliance inside of them can be monetized. And it
Yes.
hit me so much. I was like, because here's why we don't know what we don't know. We come up through
Right.
school, we come up through life, and we don't know how to monetize or how to formulate that. So, can you kind of touch on that? What do you mean when you say you show women how to do that? For those ladies out there who are going to be listening right now, how do you do that?
That is an excellent question. I'm so glad you asked it. Um, so I'll start from today, what I believe today. I believe that every single person listening right now is a gold mine. That means that you have some gold within you that you may not have uncovered yet, that once you do, then you can take that brilliance and you can share it with the world. You can monetize it. That literally is the space where your wealth resides in that gold mine that's inside of you. But I haven't always known that, Lion. I figured that out many years ago when I was working as a radio talk show host in Chicago. And man, when I tell you I love my job so much, I just enjoyed it because it gave me a chance to use my voice. And but there was one issue. I worked really hard in that job, and I didn't mind working hard at all. But I noticed that my bank account wasn't matching up with my brilliance. And so a couple of things happened, Lion. I first of all, I started a side hustle because I had just had a young son back and when this was all unfolding. And I was like, dude, I got to get my coin up, like for real, right? So I started a little side hustle, and my side hustle had started to make me more money easier than my full-time job. So I was like, well, I don't want to keep doing both of these because that's a lot of work. So at that point, I went and scheduled a meeting to talk to my boss about getting a pay increase because I hadn't had a raise in several years. And I was like, well, let me at least just go through the protocol to see if I can get a raise. And so we scheduled the meeting, went into that meeting that day. I remember it like it was yesterday. And like not even 5 minutes after I sat down on my boss's couch, she was like, well, Monique, I know why you're here and we really value what you do and you do a great job, but there is no money for you to receive a raise. And it was that awkward silence, I was like, okay, so that wasn't what I was expecting to hear. But anyway, so it was in that moment, Lion, that I knew that two things. Number one, I didn't want anyone else to have the power to be able to decide how much I make. Like, why should somebody else have that power? And I also knew that I didn't want to only receive two paychecks a month because then I was getting paid on the 15th and the 30th, and that was it. So I knew that I wanted to have more control over that. So in that moment after the meeting ended, it was all respectful. I hold no hard feelings, didn't then, didn't don't now. And it was all that learning experience, that turning point moment where you say to yourself, okay, this can either cause me to feel frustration or this can literally propel me to my next level. So I walked out of my boss's office, walked outside of the radio station, walked into the parking lot, and just paced back and forth through the parking lot, thinking, what's my next move going to be? And at that moment, I started to uh, kind of strategize about how I was going to make my exit from that job. And that launched me on my path to entrepreneurship. So I discovered in that moment that there's so many things that I can do. My side hustle proved that to me. I was media training. I was being a publicity consultant. I was doing voiceovers. I said, these are all gifts and talents that I have. So let me offer these talents to the world and put a price to it. And when I tell you, the money started to go up. It just was incredible. People were hiring me left and right. I was getting paid with ease. Like it was unbelievable. And so that's one way that I discovered the gold within me, that there was brilliance in me that needed to be monetized. And I gave myself proof that once I pinpoint what I'm good at, whether it's voiceover, training, keynote speaking, coaching, which is what I love to do now, that was all buried inside of me and I peeled back the layers of myself and I pulled it out and I offered it to the world. And from there, I have literally been unstoppable in terms of always seeking and finding what is on the inside of me that I can bring forth and share with the world and monetize it. And that kind of brings me to where I am today.
Yes, it's such a like almost give you chills sometimes, right? Because I'm picturing someone sitting in their vehicle right now that was about to step out of their vehicle to go into work. And you said something that made them go, wait a minute, let me listen to the rest of this. let me, let me, because they're sitting in that situation where they're probably saying, I want to ask for a raise, I want more. And I remember hearing a story similar to that, that kind of you need some kick in the butt in a sense to get you going. And someone said, for example, Oprah Winfrey, she was at a television set or something and she ended up getting fired. And they said that was the best thing that could happen for her because that made her Oprah Winfrey. It made her kind of see that I got to take control of my life and my situation, not depend on someone else and the two checks in a month and stuff like that. And I absolutely love that. And I'm going to jump into the book because you were mentioning it and I was reading that for our listeners. Make sure you go to the YouTube page so you can see some of this as well. But there's a section here that I got to, and you started talking about 12 ideas for things you can do to create a new income stream. And I know that because, like you just said, You found what you were great at, that, wow, why shouldn't I take that and use it to, as a stepping stone to make more of that? So can you talk a little bit about your book and tell the listeners about your book just a little bit so they can see exactly what's going on there, and they can hear all of those things that are happening there as well? Would you mind talking just a little bit about that? Because they don't ever. Whoa, we just rocking all over the place today, right? Tell them a little bit about your book there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is called How to Embrace Your Inner Millionaire, and it's actually a couple of years old. I wrote this a few years back, but man, I was going through it recently, and it some of the things just jumped out at me. It's still so powerful and relevant. So I'm glad you had a chance to read it. This book was written. Let me just give you a little backdrop around like how I came to this book. So I told you the story about me stepping out on my own, leaving the comfort of the radio station, a job that I loved, and stepping out on my own and doing pretty well. But what I didn't get mentioned is that during that time, my business hit a plateau. Right, so I was doing well, and then everything just kind of like leveled off. So I hit this ceiling, and I'm like, what's the problem? Why am I hitting the ceiling? I can't seem to get past this particular, income level. And I was like, I'm working really hard. I'm putting all this time and effort in. I'm smart and I'm resourceful and I'm getting all these clients, but I'm still like here and I can't get here. And the economy went bad. There was a recession. It was like 2008, 2009. I started to lose clients and my business was on life support literally. And I was like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" I had to lay off my team. I had a little small team. We was rocking and rolling, but I had to let them go cuz I just wasn't making the money. So I'm like, "Okay, I got to do something to save this business." So I admitted to myself that I've gotten myself as far as I can on my own. And I did something that I never thought I would do, and I hired a coach. And I was the type of person that believed that if you hire a coach or a therapist, that's like an admission of your weakness. Like, I'm supposed to be superwoman. I got a cape on and everything. But we got to get to a point, ladies, where we recognize that sometimes our cape can get holes in it, right? So when it gets holes in it, you can't fly no more. So you got to have the support that you need. So that was a huge revelation for me. Hired a coach. She helped me create some small breakthroughs in my life. And those teeny tiny mindset shifts created some incredible breakthroughs for me. And I knew then that I wanted to be a coach, and that helped me to begin this money journey to a different level. So I just had to give you that preface. So now that leads me to the book, The Inner Millionaire, because I understand the power of knowing your money story. I felt like I did not want to be out there with the chorus of people that's pushing everybody to six figures in 6 months or seven figures in 7 days, right? Because while that type of knowledge and information is good, I really wanted people to go within and build your wealth from the inside out, if that makes sense. And so that's why I focus on your inner millionaire, because I want people to know that if you're in a situation right now, you're like, yeah, I'd like to get to $1 million one day, but right now you have nothing, like your bank account is negative or it's just not where you want it to be, that doesn't mean that you aren't still abundant and wealthy right now. Can I teach for a second, Lion? So, so
Go ahead.
if you are if you are breathing, if you are listening to this or watching this right now, you have abundance and you can start from where you are right now to turn your situation around so that you can actually get to where you want to go in your finances, so that you can have overflow in your relationships and in your love and in your it just you can have all the things starting right now. But understanding that right now is really the gift. Right now is the space of wealth and well-being. And until we recognize that, as opposed to me saying, well, it's just, things aren't working out and I just don't have this. And man, I wish I had the that. Instead of all of that talk, We have to be able to stand in this moment just completely as we are today and be like, man, I am alive. Can you believe this? All this crazy stuff happening in the world. And here I am with breath in my body and a sound mind. And even if you may not be in the best shape, that's okay. You're still here. That means you have an opportunity to go within and say, okay, what can I share with the world? What experience, wisdom do I have to share that I can put into my own book? I'm just a little old girl from the south side of Chicago. Who am I to write a book? Well, I'm going to tell you who I am. It's all in here. So you've got something inside of you that you can share in book form. You can share from the stage as a speaker. Maybe you have a certain skill set that you can teach in a workshop. You have all these things that you can do, but it's all within. So in this book, I know that was a long answer, but in this book, I just give you some tips on how to not only tap into that abundance within you, but I'm also giving you some real practical ways to begin to think differently about money, to reject those old folk tales that we may have heard from our grandparents and parents growing up and start to embrace a new money story, some new beliefs and habits and ideas about money. This book is so tiny. Literally, you could probably sit down one Saturday afternoon on a rainy day and read this whole thing in a couple of hours, but it is so rich with nuggets that will truly give you a shift in your mindset.
Love it. And no long answers here. Sometimes we need to hear it just like that. So, and I appreciate that because, sometimes people learn in different ways. Some people learn, audio. They like kinetic. They gotta touch things. In a book
Right.
like this for someone, because like when I got it, I was expecting it to be a big one. I was like, oh, I can knock this out, and I'm almost done with it, just a little bit. So, but I think that's some very important for people to sit down and say, I need something. We have to,
Yeah.
and always use this term, look in the dirty mirror. I had a guest say that's one time, to look in that mirror and say, what can I do to change my situation? Yes, everyone else is doing whatever and we can blame other people, but I need to change something, right? And I love the fact when you were saying that. And so we're not going to keep you much longer, but I really would love to get a couple of tips from you for the listeners out there, and I'm gonna kind of guide you in a way of what I was taking this to. And this is also part of a new segment we have here that's called "You Better Mind Your Business."
Right.
And so it is brought to you by Reflections of You. Reflections of You, where we make your reflection more beautiful than it already is. And this tip, this mind your business thing, is just a couple of tips to help any listeners out there to say, hey, what can I do to help and focus on my business? And I bring that up because I saw a couple of things, and I read it say there was like five things of focus that you were talking about, but mainly there were four types of people that money flows to. That if you can focus on these four type of things, money will flow to you, right? So, can you give
Mm.
a couple of those tips if you don't mind to help those people out? I know a couple of them were like trade. One of the things I heard was like trading time for dollars or trading money for dollars or something like that.
Right, right,
Can you?
right.
Okay, great. Can you
Yeah.
mind doing that? Thank you so much.
No, not at all. I love talking about that. So money flows freely to for specific types of people. And that is the person who understands it, the person who is not afraid of it, it meaning the money, the person who respects money, and the person who is generous with money. I'll say it again. Money flows freely to the person who understands it, who is not afraid of it, who respects it, and who is generous with it. So when you understand money, you understand that there's no lack of money in the world right now. Your bank account may not reflect exactly what you wanted to, but that doesn't mean that there's a lack of money in this world. Money is everywhere. And then you just have to ask yourself, what opportunities am I missing or not seeing that are maybe not causing that money to flow to me. So understanding that money is flowing in abundance, that that if you understand that it's not a zero sum game, that it doesn't mean that if I have $1 million and somebody else is going to suffer. No, that's not how it works. So we really have to expand our understanding of money and how it works and how the potential that we have to create more of it instantly, like on demand. So that's the first thing. Secondly, the person that's not afraid of it. I work with women mostly, and I know that women have some very unique beliefs when it comes to money that are different from men because we're wired differently, obviously. And so sometimes a woman who doesn't know her value and doesn't know her worth, she will go to the negotiation table, like what I mentioned earlier, and she will not courageously or confidently articulate the amount that she uh, is requesting for a raise. She'll stop short of $100,000 and say, "I'll just ask for 85,000 because she doesn't want the bosses to think that she's, into herself or doing too much or extra, all that stuff." So we have to release any fears that we have. And I have a whole section in the book about how to confront your fears about money. And then what else? The next one is the person who respects it. If you respect money, then you make sure that you are clearing all of your spaces where you hold your money, like your purse or your wallet. You want to make sure that those spaces are clear of clutter because money can't thrive in a chaotic environment. So make sure you don't have chaos around your money. Your money needs to be in a nice, clean, decluttered environment. And that's one way that you show respect for it. And then lastly, money flows freely to people who are generous with it. We have to understand that if you have a scarcity mentality, then you're going to hold on to your money like this because you're afraid that if you give it away, you won't be able to pay your bills, you won't be able to meet your obligations, and this and that and the other. But one thing I really want people to understand is that money is not your source. God is your source. Now, I'm not trying to force anybody to believe anything in particular, but I'm just saying there is a source bigger than what we can all see or think or imagine that is the source of all supply. And that source gave you the money that you currently have. So you back up off of it a little bit. And we're given money not only to meet our own needs, but also so that we can bless others in a way that we can help them with boundaries, of course, meet their needs. And when we do that, that is a key to financial breakthrough. One of the keys that if you really want to see more money flowing into your life, I challenge you to be more willing to give.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's a couple of tips to help you mind your business and to elevate and scale up. And I know I'm not going to keep you because I know you got tons of things to do, but I just want to let the listeners know also that you are gracing the cover of a magazine and they can see it themselves if they go to speakersmagazine.com. 2023, the year of clarity and overflow. I love it. 5 ways to stay focused, how to get quick media coverage, just tons of things, but you're on the cover of that. And just briefly, can you just tell the listeners maybe just a little bit about what that experience was for you?
That was amazing. Um, speakers is awesome because one of the things I really wanted to do this year is to elevate my speaking presence and get back out there on stages. We've been locked up for 2.5 years, so I'm ready to get back out there on the stage and be in the presence of the audiences. And so when the opportunity came for me to be on the cover of Speakers, I'm an introvert at my core, but I said, this is a step that I needed to make, and it has been phenomenal. And that's another thing I want to just say before we wrap up is that, if something makes you a little bit nervous or a little bit gives you them butterflies in your stomach a little bit, that's a clear sign that that's something that you need to explore because that's how I felt about the Speakers Magazine opportunity. It was like, something said, you're not quite ready. The website isn't quite ready yet, and this, that, and the other, all these excuses. But I said, no, I know in 2023, I want to be out there more, and this is going to help me do that. So, it's one of the reasons why I wound up here on just one question. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. It was phenomenal, and this year I just declare, this is what I want to declare since the cover of Speakers says this is the year of clarity and overflow. I just declare over you in this show and your audience, first of all, that this show is going to explode beyond your belief, that you are going to see a continuous elevation and expansion of your audience and your reach, and doors are going to open for you. And for anybody out there listening right now, you have a dream in your heart, and maybe it's been dormant for a while, and maybe you thought, well, I'm too old, or I'm too this, or I'm too that, or it's too late. I want to encourage you that your dream is not dead. So I encourage you to go and revisit your dream. Be generous with your money. We want to create this life of overflow so that we can give from the liquid that falls into the saucer after you pour it all into the cup. So you can live from what's in the you can live from what's in the saucer. Siri just trying to get all up in our conversation. You can live from what's in the saucer and give from what's in the cup. That's overflow. And I just declare that over every single person listening right now, that this is the year that you reconnect to your dreams, that doors would open and your overflow would be unleashed.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and absolutely, everything can happen when you're doing broadcasting of any sort. I was doing something with you earlier. My dog, who I usually put up, he came and jumped on my arm, and I pressed the wrong button, so things switched up. But I was like, you got to keep going. So, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can also find and download a free copy of Sisternomics on the Money Manifesto at overflownow.com. And how can people reach you if they have any questions or want to find out about how they can work with you in coaching, speaking, or have you for one of their events?
Great question. Well, everything is at my website. You mentioned it, overflownow.com. That's how you can find out more about the book. And there's some stuff up there about my speaking. And I got a couple of programs right now. I'm excited to be training the next cohort of Overflow certified coaches. I got some women that are coming in that's going to teach the methodologies, some of which I share with you today. And they're going to go out into their communities and their churches and their workplace and share those same things, because I'm committed to creating a whole new generation of women living in the overflow that have more than enough to create that legacy of wealth, and that legacy that can impact not only their children and loved ones, but also the organizations that they believe in, so that we can change the whole game when it comes to what our communities look like, the types of quality conversations that we can have around what money, wealth, and abundance means for us, and defining this for ourselves as opposed to letting other people define that for us. So that's my commitment. And I invite people to visit me at overflownow.com.
Thank you so much. I know you've got to go, and I'm not going to keep you, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. If you need to jump off, go ahead and do that. If not, then I'm gonna come right back and just give you the goodbye notes or whatever. So, but
Thank,
just go ahead and do what you got to do. I'm gonna go ahead and end the show now, and I appreciate that for you being here so much. Thank you so very much, Monique.
thank
You
you,
enjoy the
Lion.
rest of your day. Yes, 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 yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning into another episode of J1Q, the podcast again that's here for dedication, inspiration, and to lift you up. I sincerely appreciate you all for being here. Remember, this episode is being brought to you by Hustle 1977. For those who grind, you deserve to relax. Why not relax with a glass of smooth tasting Hustle brand whiskey? And I also want to give a shout out to our affiliates. Also, we got a new couple of affiliates. Make sure you go check them out at the website lionflood.com, where you can find all past episodes as well. We're going to be representing and giving up the affiliation with Inkfile. If you're looking to start your own business, why not start with Inkfile to help you guide through and get your LLC so much easier. Also, Grammarly, for anyone out there who's giving any information out on the web or being written, check out Grammarly to help you with all of your punctuation, spelling, and everything else that comes with that. So, thank you all for tuning into another episode. I sincerely appreciate that. You all keep enjoying, and remember to live while you are alive. Here I come.